Yeah. David.
John, how's it going?
Good. You were a camper here.
I was a camper here.
Way back. How many years ago? When did you start?
I started coming here in 2005. It was my first year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who is your counselor?
My very first counselor, Brendan Seeley.
Brandon. Yeah. That's for some reason I know that name.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of his generation came this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know where he is. I probably haven't seen him since I was like 11 years old.
Yeah.
But he was here for a while.
Yeah.
He's here for at least, I think, probably the first 2 or 3 years I was at camp. Then I did CIT named James, who I actually recently learned the last name of, but I forgot. It starts with an R. He was a farm boy.
Yeah.
Somebody was really big, he was blonde, and then he was my counselor the next year.
Yeah.
So I went from having him as a CIT to a counselor in my second year.
Yeah. And before you got on staff, who were you? Who were you looking up to? Who were you idolizing on camp staff?
That's a good question. I think Seeley was always a really big one because he was my first, but I think one that was really impactful for me was I was in 1A when I was a camper now in those Otters, but I had a counselor named Matt Taylor.
Matt Taylor, yeah, I know Matt Taylor.
Yeah, he comes out to the alumni camps, and he was our final kind of 1A counselor. And I think at that point in my life, I really loved camp, and I wanted to come back, but I always thought I would do, then it was called JC, like CIT.
Yeah.
I would do that, and that would probably be it for me, because I didn't think I could be away for an entire summer. That was part of it, and the other part was I felt like I wasn't really like the best fit for it. I felt like there was a lot of other people I was campers with who were like a lot more outgoing than me, or had like much more of a presence.
For the CIT coordinator role?
Oh no, just to be a CIT.
Yeah, just to be a CIT.
Just to be a CIT. Yeah. Because back then it was like really competitive.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of people gunning for it, and I didn't think I'd get in. And I talked to one of my good friends, Zach, who came out. He worked here for a number of years. Unfortunately, couldn't make the weekend. He was planning on it, but he couldn't make it out because he had work. But I was talking about it later because I think he sat us all down individually, and we didn't know. And he was just kind of like, "Hey, so you're gonna come back next year and be like JC?" And I was like, "Oh, like maybe, but like I don't think I should. Like I don't know. I think that'll probably be it." He's like, "I think we should come back. I think he'd be really good at it." And I looked up to him a lot. He's a really great counselor, and that was like kind of a really great encouragement. So I came back, and then the next year, I think he was the program director, like my first year on staff, and he was like so encouraging to me, and I think to all of us, like because a bunch of us came back on staff, and he was like, "We're really proud of you." And then we had a really great moment. I think it was a 2018 alumni camp. He came back. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh my God, you're still here?" And I was like, "I'm still here
because of you."
And as I told him, I was like, "I'm here because of you. I didn't think I could like cut it." And then you told me to like come out and apply, and like that would have been. It was like probably almost 10 years. Like I've been there forever, and he's like, "You're still here. You're still doing that." We took a photo. I think he has the photo. It was like a really nice moment. But he's someone I looked up to a lot, and we still keep in touch.
Yeah.
Like not super frequently, but every once in a while.
Yeah.
We still talk to each other.
And in the old days, there was no full-time camp jobs at all, or with like Canadian Diabetes Association or Diabetes Canada. And now we've got some roles. You own one of those roles. What is your role right now?
So I am, I think, it's in the organization, camp coordinator, but really camp director of Western Canada. So I oversee our 4 D camps across Western. So we got Camp Takamala in British Columbia. We got Camp Jean Nelson in Alberta. We have Camp Cornder, previously known as Saskatchewan Children's Camp in Saskatchewan. And then we have Camp Briardale in Manitoba.
And are those all 2-week camps?
So BC and Alberta are 2-week camps, and then Saskatchewan and Manitoba are just 1 week.
Okay, and that schedule moves across the country.
And
you travel with that schedule.
Well, I travel with that schedule and that team.
How do you get there from one camp to the other?
We bus. So we start, everyone flies in and meets us at the ferry terminal in British Columbia, where we have to take the ferry to get over to our first camp. And we're there for staff training. And then once that camp wraps up, we get some people, if they want to, if they're from Calgary, they can fly home to Alberta and meet us there. But most people choose to, we get on a bus from Vancouver and it brings us to Water Valley, Alberta. And then when that camp wraps up, we all get on a bus from there to Christopher Lake, Saskatchewan. When that camp wraps up, we get on a bus from there to Winnipeg, and then we have some time off there. And then we meet all of our campers, med staff, and everybody, and we all take the bus from Winnipeg to Kenora, where the camp is located. And at the end of the summer, we bus everyone back to Winnipeg, and then we send all of our staff to the airport, and we fly them all home, wherever they need to go.
Yeah. How many staff would be in total then traveling?
So this past summer, it kind of fluctuated. We had to be a little bit flexible because I think for a lot of people coming out of COVID, our staff was a little bit older than they normally would have, and people had school and people had other work commitments, so people were doing a bit short. Normally we'd have everyone for the full summer, but some people maybe only 2 or 3. So our numbers fluctuated a bit, but I'd say we consistently, including me, had about 23 or 24 people.
Moving from camp to camp.
Moving from camp to camp.
Tell me about the bus drive from BC to Alberta.
Yes.
Yeah. What is that?
Oh, incredible. It's life-changing. Going down to Coquihalla, it's beautiful. I actually spent the majority of it. A lot of our counselors and so I'm a very avid Dungeons & Dragons player. I have a group that I play with of other camp alumni that I grew up with. And it turns out a lot of our younger staff are really into it. So we spent about 5 hours on that bus ride playing Dungeons & Dragons, which was really fun. And then the rest, just taking in the views.
Yeah, looking out the window.
Going through the mountains, yeah.
See any wildlife?
I'm trying to think. Not on that ride, but I think it was it was me, so I had to get a rental car in Saskatoon and meet up at the camp, and on that one saw like probably 2 or 3 bears.
Oh yeah, like grizzly bears.
Black bears.
Oh, black bears.
Black bears, yeah. Saw black bears, yeah.
So yeah, what a roll.
What a roll.
And what do you do in the off season then?
Oh, still camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what work goes on behind the scenes during the off season?
That's a good. So we, after this finishes, I'm going to be going back home to my mom's house for a little bit. She lives in Mississauga, and then flying from there to Saskatchewan for our final family camp of the season, which is next weekend. And then after that, probably taking some time to sleep. It would be nice. It'd be nice to sleep a bit. And then really, it's just kind of reevaluating how the season went, looking at how things went, maybe some things we can improve, some things we thought went well, kind of revamping. So with all of our Western Canada sites, we rent all of those sites, and all of our rental agreements are kind of up for renewal for our 4 sites. So kind of setting those up with the camps that we rent, getting those ready to go, and then trying to get our staff hiring pretty much as soon as we can. This past year, we started interviewing folks late November, early December, so probably around the same, for those people who are in more like senior roles, and then we do all of our counseling interviews in January and try to get back to those folks by the end of January, beginning of like February, and then it's really like getting the program supplies ready, getting everything delivered, getting the team ready, getting the logistics with our medical teams, talking with them about their protocols, getting that all ready to go, and when we start, I start traveling. Our first family camp is just north of Vancouver Island, on Quadra Island, the first weekend of May. So kind of once May hits, I start hitting the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it must have been tricky, like with COVID, you've got no camps running for 2 years. Probably some of your staff have just dispersed into the wilderness.
Fire safety, that's right. See, we didn't
And
worry about fires back
was
then, I
it
guess.
tricky then to get
No ramps,
things
no fire
back
safety.
up after
One door,
COVID?
that's it.
I would say yes. I would say the trickiest things was getting
I'm very alarmed to see those
lots of
showers.
supplies and
We're scaring back
logistics. It was a
then.
lot harder to
We're
travel
scaring
things
now.
around. The staff was an interesting one. I found that we had a lot of counselors who had been waiting 3 years to do that job, and they wanted that. And they all came. We had no problem getting counselors. The hard ones to get would be, well, they have very similar job titles, like a program director or an assistant director. Those were a lot harder because those folks had kind of moved on to other things. And I found being a new person at those camps, obviously I'd worked for G Camps, I'd been here forever. I'd worked at Camp Discovery before too, in London. But I think it was not necessarily proving myself, but I think they wanted to see what kind of person I was and how that was going. So those family camps, we had one in BC and one in Alberta before the summer, and I brought out a bunch of people who had previously worked, who I'd never met before, and they kind of met me, and were like, okay, you're all right, I think I'll work with you. We seem like we could get along. And really just like, not bribes, but a lot of persuasion, a lot of schmoozing. Had to put on some charisma a little bit to get those folks in, and I think they kind of spread the word. And whereas we had a full counseling team hired by January, I don't think we filled those other positions until maybe June.
Yeah.
Just got them right before the season started.
And you feel like 2023 is going to be a smoother ride then?
Oh, I think much smoother. I think we had a lot of folks after the summer who wanted to come back. I think it's the same as here. Once you get those people in that summer and they have that experience, they want to come back. And I think it was reminding them of why they want to come back, like what camp is and why it's so important for our community of people living with type 1. And I think for them to see it and to visualize it really put that back in perspective for them.
Yeah.
And why they wanted to come back.
What's your emotional state walking around here this weekend?
Oh, it's been very sentimental and very nostalgic. The last time I would have been back here was end of summer 2019. I was here for our fall family camp. It was fall family camp, and then actually flew out the day after that to go to BC to work a different job for the first time, and it feels very good. I don't think I was nervous, but I think I was really curious what it would be like, having done a bunch of other camps, but it felt almost like immediate. Like it felt like a very nice welcome back, and I think seeing a lot of the folks working this weekend for D camps I've known forever, and one of them's my sister, so kind of since the get-go. And then for some alumni, I had met a lot of you folks previously at alumni camps. Like I grew up with Ellie and Liam too, who are out here this weekend. So it felt very immediate. It felt like that no time had really passed.
Liam seems like a cool dude.
He's a very cool dude.
Yeah, like he seems like he's got it together.
He was actually my very first camp cabin ever, and then I probably didn't see him. He switched sessions. I didn't see him forever, and then I came back as a full-time counselor. He was a year younger than me, so he came in as a junior counselor, and I recognized him immediately because he's had the same face, probably since he was 8 years old. I was like, I know you. And he's like, I think he's like, oh yeah, I know you. And then we've been friends. I mean, we were friends when we were like 8 and 9, but now since we were probably 17, 16. But both of us are very hard to get a hold of. We're not very good at social media. So
I don't own a cell phone, if you can believe
that. That's the move. I wish. I hate having cell phones. I wouldn't say I'm like, I am anti-technology. I don't like it. I know I'm young, but I don't like it.
It's kind of screwed up the stuff we have, like these emotions we have going on here.
I agree.
Like real, immediate, in the moment.
I think when you have that in-person connection too, there's a certain level of vulnerability that you can never catch over a screen or over a phone. And I also think that it's very easy to get worked up or fixated on things over online. I mean, if you have a 5-minute conversation with someone, it's immediately resolved. There's a sense of connection that I don't think you're ever going to be able to get in any other medium.
I will say, however, we are filming this.
We are filming this.
So we're kind of frauds. Media.
We're kind of frauds. But do you find
this? We are having a connection.
We're having a connection.
Who knows what they'll feel?
But I think that's kind of like I'm gonna go as far to say that this is it's art. I think you can listen to music or you can watch a movie and it can make you feel a certain way. And I hope that would be this experience for these people watching it. Or maybe they're gonna watch it and then we'll be back here and we'll be much older and they'll be like, oh man, oh they aged.
Well, nice talking to you, David.
Nice talking to you too. Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Glad to meet you this week.
Great to meet you too.
Good luck going forward.
Thank you. You too. I mean, you don't have a cell phone. I'm trying to get rid of mine. So maybe I'll get rid of a cell phone. But we'll connect.
I'm on Facebook.
There you go.
We'll be Facebook buddies.
There we go. Nice.
Good.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.